I think that is unfortunately fair. Hopefully they can turn around and just be better, like be more solid. And I will say the last piece of this, since you mentioned the trade part, is Allen is easier to trade contractually. Duran and Terry are on similar timelines. If you think of those three players as kind of the three remaining best stalwarts, contractually, Terry and Duran both have an extra year compared to John's contract, which means you'd have dead money. But nobody wants to hear about all the contractual stuff. Just that's deep enough in that pile. Michael Phillips with us for another minute or two here on the Hoffman Show. And Michael, I don't know if you knew this, but we haven't had the internet for the last hour. The internet's back, so
let's go.
We're a fully operational radio show. We're back on the internet. We have graphics on the internet. We have all our sound bites and effects. So that's exciting. I also have one final question for you, which is, what do they do at corner? And I realize that there's probably not a great answer here, but they're going to have to do something. Do you have any outside or inside the box ideas?
I think outside the team ideas are probably what you need here. You probably need to just treat the season as an open audition and, find the 10 best guys who aren't on rosters right now and, start cycling them through Ashburn and see if one of them can stick. And if you like one of them, because, I'm not sure I see a lot of internal solutions to the problem. I don't think it's a coaching problem. Obviously, I was quite outspoken, as I think you were last year, that a lot of their problems were coaching problems. I think this year it's far more talent problems than coaching problems. Of course, you learn things after the fact as well, so it's hard to say anything definitively from our view here. But I would bring in auditions and bring in guys. It's also, I mean, it's funny, I'll bring in Austin Seibert. Do we know if he's a good kicker or not? And the funny thing is we kind of don't. He made 6 extra points yesterday, essentially, and I'm really glad he did. But if Cade York had been around yesterday, he might have gone 7 for 7 too. And if Austin Seibert had been here 2 weeks ago, he might have missed the 54-yarder in Tampa, right? So much of it is situational and who you play and when you play and who you go up against. Now, that said, I do think the Giants was probably one of the easier gigs this year for those corners. So I don't love that they did not pass that test.
Yeah. I mean, that said, Malik Neighbors is sick. So that's the good news, if you will. The bad news is
I think everybody's got one of those now.
Jamar Chase is next. So and by the way,
everybody have one of those now except us?
Well, I was about to say there is one team. This was something I was texting with Kime earlier about this, and I just kind of posited the question: what would happen if Cliff decided we're gonna spam Terry in the same way that Minnesota spams JJ or Dable spammed Neighbors yesterday? 18 targets. Not that I think that he is the same guy, but I just, as a science experiment, I want to know what would happen. Would he have, let's say they got him 18 targets. Does he have 9 catches? Does he have 15 catches? Does he average 3.7 yards a catch like he did yesterday? Does he average 25 yards a catch because he takes 2 of them to the house? It's a finicky position, receiver. Some guys clearly are at a different level. I think Chase, for whatever it's worth, that we'll see next Monday night. I guess you'll join us to preview that one. He's on that 10 out of 10 level. Terry's not. But what would happen if you treated him like that for a day? I just want to know.
I also want to know. I want to know what it's like to have a number one receiver who gets catches in football games. That's a thing I join you in wanting to know, Craig Hoffman.
Whatever it's worth, his career high in targets is 14. He's had it twice. He had 10 and 11 catches, and it was over 100 yards. So I don't know. I might mess around and find out again at some point this season if I'm Cliff. But right now, just keep 5 upright, and we'll live with the rest. Michael Phillips, he'll be talking about all this 10 a.m. to noon on 910 The Fan in Richmond, which you can listen to on the free Odyssey app. And, Michael, I guess next Monday you'll join us to preview Monday Night Football.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to bring a lot of cheer and optimism, but I will bring my trademark happiness.
Trademark happiness and bits, because,
bits.
That's really your job around here, Michael. Let's be honest.
I plan to live up to the billing.
Excellent. Michael Phillips, everybody. Thank you, sir. And I'm excited that we're seatmates now.
Yeah. I guess I'll see you at the Browns game next. So a winnable game, as they say.
Winnable. Hey, any given Sunday, Michael, unless you're the Panthers. All right, see you, buddy. That's it. That's all. Michael Phillips, everybody, with us here on the Hoffman Show. Speaking of the Panthers, they made news today. They're benching Bryce Young. Yep. Nope. They're really benching Bryce Young, their number 1 overall pick from last year, based off what happened yesterday. So that's a yikes for them. We'll let you know what happened around the rest of the NFL and how our picks did as well next here on the Team 980. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Streaming live on YouTube again at the Team 980 because our internet is back. Anthony, what will be your favorite memory of the internet being out and the first victory Monday of 2024? A time that none of us will never forget.
My favorite?
Yeah.
My favorite will probably be the fact I didn't get to play Hell to the Redskins. I mean, not Hell to the Redskins.
Left hand up?
Left hand up, yeah. God.
Yeah. Remember, Anthony.
Yeah.
We are the Commanders.
We are the Commanders. I meant to say left hand up. Who are we? The Command. I couldn't play that song. I was hurt.
I mean, the show's not over.
Oh, no, it's not. I'm going to play it.
And we also, at 6:30, are going to bring back Tell the Truth Monday. Let 6 o'clock folks get in on some calls. And we have an open for that now. Like, we made one.
Mm-hmm.
More specifically, I made one. I went into the lab.
Yep.
I did some production. It's nothing terribly fancy.
Cook some stuff up.
But, like, sometimes there's beauty in simplicity. And I cooked something up. And I was ready and excited to play it at 5 or at 4:30.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't happen because we didn't have the internet, which is our drives are internet connected. So I guess 6:30 people can hear the simplistic beauty for the first time, if you will.
It was good stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I'll tell you.
Apologies to the people on the internet that we were not on the internet. And to be honest, I have no idea what the quality is of the video recordings that we tried to do offline. So some of that's the show. We might not wind up in video form on the internet, but that's okay because we have a podcast and you can listen to it anytime, anywhere. Just search the Hoffman Show in your favorite podcast app, and you don't even have to see us. I mean, look at us. We are worth looking at. Now when you make a face like that, what was that? You like rolled your eyes back into your head. That was weird.
That's my light skin face.
No, it wasn't. I don't think it was.
You don't think so?
No.
Yeah,
that one was better.
You got to squint your eyes.
Yeah,
you got to raise your eyebrows.
Yeah, but like
It's a lot that goes into
your
it.
eyes got caught in a weird place between open and closed. That was not.
Okay.
It might have been the angle and the lighting, but yeah, no, that's better. The first one, like your head was turned at a funky angle, and it just looked like you were dead.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm alive now.
Okay. He's alive. Okay, let's get to it. It's 5:30. It is time to go around
Oh my gosh.
the NFL. We will take a look at our picks. We will take a look at all the games. We'll give you analysis. But first, Anthony, where were we going into the week on the pick side of things?
So going into week 2, you were a stellar 11-4, and I was a subpar. I was 7-8.
7-8. You were 7-9, and I was 11-5 after Thursday Night Football, where we stupidly picked the Dolphins.
Hold on. That's bad math, Craig. Oh, Thursday we didn't pick Ravens Chiefs. Is that what it was?
No, we did pick Ravens Chiefs, so I was 12-4.
You picked the Ravens though. Oh no, you picked the Chiefs?
I mean, I picked the Chiefs, yeah. On the opener? Yeah.
I had to go back. I don't know why this is I gotta check the math.
You're short a game.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
That math was not bad.
Well, it was
it
the
was
Thursday
the Monday
night.
night football game.
That's right.
Who won Monday?
The Niners beat the Jets on the week 1,
And I picked the Jets.
and I picked the Niners, so 12.
Yeah. So I'm 7-9 actually, and you were 12-4.
Okay, 12-5 after Thursday Night Football this week. You were 7-10 after Thursday Night Football this week because, again, stupidly, we picked the Dolphins instead of the Bills, even though giant Bills fan Wizards GM Will Dawkins informed us today when we saw him at the Wizards media tip-off that that was extra super duper stupid because the Bills have won like 13 of 14 against Miami or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because Josh Allen's really good at football, Anthony.
You think so?
I do. I think he's a top. Frankly, I think he's a top 2 quarterback. But
Well, he has since made my top 5.
Congratulations on getting closer to being correct.
Yes.
Okay, speaking of us being really wrong, oh my God, the Saints are good. Saints 44, Cowboys 19. The one thing that really brought Northwest Stadium together yesterday, Giants and Commanders fans cheering the Cowboys' struggles. Dak Prescott, who you do have as a top 5 quarterback, he had 293 yards in the game. That's the good news for him. The bad news is he had 1 touchdown and 2 picks, good for a 52.9 QBR. The Cowboys' run game, non-existent. They rushed for a 68 yards total. Meanwhile, Alvin Kamara had 115 by his own self. 3 touchdowns for Kamara. He also had 1 through the air. Olave, 81 yards. Shaheed, 96 yards. Like, dude, they were ridiculous. Carr, 11 for 16, 243, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Insane. Insane.
What tree is their head coach from?
I don't know about Dennis Allen and where he's from, but I do know that their offensive coordinator is Clint Kubiak, who is the Kyle Shanahan to, Gary Kubiak, right?
Yeah.
If Gary and Mike work together, Clint is Gary's son, Mike is Kyle's son, and Clint Kubiak might very well be the next one.
Yeah, I just think, and maybe we should have known this, Dallas struggles against all those kinds of, offenses. They struggle against LaFleur. They struggle against the 49ers, of course. You got Dennis Allen and Clint Kubiak giving them problems. When it comes to whatever style of offense that is.
The West Coast.
Yeah, West
like
Coast.
Kyle
Dallas just
Shanahan
has
tree.
No answer for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really the Shanahan-Kubiak tree. And, this guy's name's Kubiak. So that perhaps should have been a sign. That is a good point, Anthony.
Yeah.
Something we should follow the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, the Bucks, 0-2 start.
We're 0-3, Craig.
0-3 start. Bucks, 20. Lions, 16. Are the Bucks good? I think yes.
I'm proud of Baker, man. I am proud of Baker, dog. It's good to see him actually winning. I think, him going to Cleveland might have hurt him a little bit, and the same might be, happening to Bryce Young. But he was dealt a bad hand, and he's worked his way back. And the Bucks, man, they schemed some stuff up. Did you watch that game?
I did not have a chance to watch this game because I was at the Commanders game.
You talk about Cliff scheming some stuff up. They schemed some stuff up against those guys. It looked good.
I mean, the toughness Baker shows, has that rushing touchdown on the quarterback draw. 5 carries, 34 yards, touchdown for Mayfield. 12 of 19, only throws it 19 times, but a touchdown, a pick. Bucky Irving, 7 for 22. Like, this is a weird stat sheet game. Of his 185 yards, 117 go to Godwin. Meanwhile, Amon-Ra St. Brown has 11 for 119. Jamison Williams, 5 for 79. From a yardage standpoint, Detroit put up numbers. They put up almost 500 yards of offense. They put up, 446 yards of offense. Just doing the quick math of their passing yards, or actually even more than that. But they put up 450 passing yards plus rushing yards. They didn't fumble, but ultimately they don't convert touchdowns. Goff's got 2 picks, and that's how you lose a football game. Doesn't really change what I think about Detroit, but I mean, I will say this is not just an impressive win from Tampa because they won against Detroit, who I think is really good, but they did it without Vita Vea for a lot of this game, and he might be out for a while. Antoine Winfield was out. Their right tackle was out. This is a gutsy win. I think that's a good football team in Tampa, and I know that Washington is only so good, and people were like, they just beat Washington. I'm telling you, watching that tape back, dude, that's a good football team in Tampa, which is going to make the NFC South a lot more fun than we thought it was going to be, depending on what happens with Atlanta tonight, because they might stink, and then it probably won't be that interesting. Colts and Packers. What a wacky game this is. The Packers won. What do you have to say for your Indianapolis Colts, Anthony?
They have to get punched in the mouth and punch back. That first half, they gave up over 200 rushing yards. Granted, in the second half, they made the changes. The defense as a whole only ended up giving up 10 points. But it's the fact that you gave up 200 rushing yards in the first half. That is absurd. And that's basically building off what happened last week when Joe Mixon ran all over them. So
Well, it's even worse this week because you know it's coming. Like they're not
Exactly.
dropping Malik Willis back there to beat you.
He was 3 for 3 in the first half, Craig, for 22 yards and a touchdown. 22 yards.
Well, he got 100 in the second half because he finished with a $122.
Yeah.
But the wackiest play of this game, you've probably seen this on the internet by now, unless you're not
man.
an internet person,
Yeah,
in which
which
case,
is crazy.
Congratulations on missing this one, but I'm going to ruin your day now. Hope you didn't just eat something, because there was a play where they drew it up and they got what they wanted, and Matt LaFleur asked Malik Willis on a third down, like, hey, bro, we got the look. Like, you're staring right at it. Why didn't you throw it? And he said, because the center threw up on the ball, and I couldn't grip it. So that's a thing that happened yesterday. You had a center throw up on a football, so a quarterback couldn't throw it.
Yep.
But they won the game because Anthony Richardson proverbially threw up and threw 3 picks.
Yeah, he had a bad offensive game. Also, some of the receivers are dropping passes, though. Like, they just look all out of sorts. Jonathan Taylor didn't play in the fourth. He didn't play in the fourth, Craig.
Not good.
The fourth.
Not good. Jets 24. By the way, that's an 0-4 start for both of us.
Yes, sir.
Any given Sunday.
Man.
Jets 24, Titans 17. Just enough for Aaron Rodgers and company. Finished this one strong, 17 points in the second half. And another just mind-bending interception by Will Levis in this game, where the cameras catches head coach Brian Callahan as Levis comes back to the sideline going, dude, what the bleep are you doing? They wanted to find out about Will Levis this year. They're finding out, Anthony.
He is giving the game. Oh, that is a critical point in the game.
They could be 2-0, dude.
They could. He got to stop giving the game away, point shaving. That's what he's doing, essentially. God dang. But Aaron Rodgers, the Jets defense, they stepped up, when it mattered.
Sure did. Garrett Wilson, 4 catches, 57 yards. Breece Hall, 14 carries, 62. 7 catches, 52. So we're over 100 yards from scrimmage.
And
Rodgers does not. Braylon Allen, 2 touchdowns on the day. 1 on the ground, 1 as a receiver. But like Rodgers and Cousins both coming off the Achilles, man. They can't move like they used to, and for Rodgers, that's probably a bigger issue than for Cousins because the mobility was such a big part of Rodgers' game. But for both of them, they can't, they just can't push off, and they can't drive the ball down the field. And teams are going to sit on short stuff, and that is going to become a huge problem when you're facing teams that are better than the Tennessee Titans, because eventually you're going to have to score some points, or this defense is going to have to be a lot better.
Yeah.
So that's something to watch for the Jets. We both got that one right. So the skid is over. That's the good news. The bad news is, what the hell happened to the Niners? Vikings 23, Niners 17. Justin Jefferson had a 97-yard touchdown catch from Sam Darnold. That is the difference in the game. Jordan Mason, another 100-yard day as Christian McCaffrey is being put on IR. Brock Purdy over 300 yards in the loss, but they just can't finish drives. And they got some more injury issues. George Kittle was carted off at one point in this game. So it just shows you, after the Niners look incredible in week 1, how quickly things can change. Short week, they go on the road, Minnesota, and Kevin O'Connell's one of them dudes, man. He's figuring out ways to scheme it up for Sam freaking Darnold, and the Vikings are 2-0.
Yeah, the Vikings, Justin Jefferson said it before the game. He is not Garrett Wilson. And the fact he beat his man and the safety over the top, crazy 97-yard tud. But yeah, the 49ers, they didn't look like they did in week 1. I think they played great in week 1. Offense was essentially flawless, but I don't know, week 2 is Brian Flores. I think he was able to scheme up some stuff, because after the game, Brock Purdy said, hey, you got a hell of a defensive scheme. And that's that was one of the interceptions he ended up throwing inside their own 10, I think it was.
Yeah, that's those are killers. Can't do it. And cost them the game, 23-17. Vikings. Seahawks needed overtime, but they beat the Patriots, who are scrappy, 23-20. Antonio Gibson, 11 carries, 96 yards in this game. DK Metcalf, big touchdown on a busted coverage. Geno Smith, 327 and a touchdown. Patriots cover, which might be relevant on Wednesday, but the Seahawks get the dub here.
Yeah, this was I didn't know the Patriots were going to be this scrappy, man. I knew what Bill Belichick, what he had, his defensive scheme, but I think we got to give Gerard Mayo some props because he's keeping these guys close in these games, and also Ramondre Stevenson is also trying to put the team.
He is a
back.
load,
Man.
bro. God, he can get downhill. So can Gibson, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's just look up and see the highlight of AG rumbling through the secondary. Chargers 26, Panthers 3. Yeah, man. At some point in the press box yesterday, we were talking about this game. Somebody brought up J.K. Dobbins' stat line, and I literally go, being Jim Harbaugh's running back is the greatest job in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get carries. You're going to get good looks. You're going to have a good O-line in front of you. It's going to be well coached. Herbert has to throw for just $130 to get the win. Dobbins, 17 carries, 131 yards. That's right, 17 carries. He averaged 7 a carry. And it's not like he had an 80-yarder. His long was 43, which is long, but it's not 80. That is ridiculous. Quentin Johnston, a solid 5-catch, 51-yard day. He's got 2 touchdowns on his 5 catches. Man, Herbert, nice and easy. Only had to throw it 20 times. Meanwhile, Bryce Young, 18 for 26, Anthony, for 84 yards. He had 18 completions for 84 yards, and he ultimately today is benched by Dave Canales. Just 2 games into the Canales-Bryce Young era. I actually have a lot of respect for Canales doing this. I saw Joe Person, again, real name, real person, Joe Person, not a fake name. Joe covers the Panthers for The Athletic, and I saw him during the game yesterday tweet, like, if he doesn't bench Bryce Young, he's going to risk losing the locker room. And they should have, frankly, done it last year, and they didn't. But Canales is willing to do it now. Andy Dalton's going to start, and we'll see how it goes. But I hope that, I hope that Bryce Young goes somewhere and gets to sit for 2 years and eventually can turn his career around and be, at the very least, a capable NFL starter. I feel so bad because I feel like that franchise ruined him playing him last year. And I know the height is clearly more of an issue than a lot of us who liked him coming out gave it credit for. There's a reason why he would have been a major exception and not a rule. But, he had nothing. And it's just, this is how you ruin a quarterback, and it looks like they ruined a quarterback.
Yeah, they definitely did. Last year, no line, no weapons. You throw him into the fire, expect him to go be great. That dude's confidence is gone, man. You can see it. And I know it's a new year, new season, but his confidence is still shot. So I'm hoping nothing but the best for him as well, man. Nothing but the best.
Just a huge, huge bummer. Browns 18, Jags 13. This one got real interesting late. Trevor Lawrence trying to leave a late game drive and had a ball that damn near was caught as time expired in the end zone that would have won it.
Man.
But ultimately, Cleveland able to hold on, in part because Myles Garrett has a safety sack of Lawrence in the fourth quarter, meaning the Jags needed a touchdown on their final drive instead of just a field goal. And the Jags fall to 0-2. Browns still not very good on offense. Still a problem at quarterback position, but they do get a win. They are 1-1. And I don't know that either of these teams are going to be as good as people thought they might be.
Nope. I mean, the Browns defense will probably still be able to keep them in games. But until Nick Chubb comes back, I mean, Jerome Ford is holding down the fort a little bit. But that is a team that leans on their run game to set up everything. And if you can't run the ball effectively, I don't have the utmost faith in Deshaun Watson to go out there. So I end up getting this one right there. I changed it at the last second. Browns, Jags.
You did.
Yes,
did.
sir.
Congratulations to you. Raiders, Ravens. 26-13. The Ravens fall at home to Gardner Minshew. And the Raiders, Devontae Adams, 9 catches, 110 and a touchdown. Still great. The Ravens, meanwhile, just defensively without Mike McDonald. And the thing is, it's not just Mike McDonald. They lost a bunch of other coaches on that staff. And I still think the Ravens are going to be just fine. They're 0-2. This is definitely a way worse loss than the Chiefs. But they gotta still find a way to be a little bit more explosive offensively, blend Lamar and Derrick Henry together. Henry 18 for 84 and a touchdown. Be a little bit more efficient in the passing game. Lamar just 21 of 34 for a touchdown, but also got picked. And then, yeah, defensively, like, you give up almost 300 yards, 276 in the air to Gardner Minshew, 110 to Devontae Adams. And by the way, hello, Brock Bowers, 9 for 98 for the rookie tight end.
Oh, my God. I didn't know he had a stat line that absurd. Good gracious. Yeah, Ravens got to do better. I think they got to feed Derrick Henry the ball a little bit more. I understand he got 18, but if this guy rushes for 5 yards, it's 2nd and 5, go right back to him. Don't go away from him, because guess what? Next play, Lamar gets sacked. Like, come on. You're killing yourself.
Yeah, not good.
You brought in this guy.
I told you, I don't know why you're going to pick the Cardinals, but you're going to do it. You're going to hold your breath, and you're going to win. And, boy, did that turn out to be true. And the Rams, they're 0-2 and going the wrong way. Just announced literally 20 minutes ago, Cooper Kupp is going to be out for a while, according to Sean McVay. So they're down Puka Nacua, they're down Cooper Kupp, and they're down in an 0-2 hole in maybe the toughest division in football. It's Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, but the absolute smackdown on the Rams, 41-10. Tons of concern after week 1. Marvin Harrison Jr. did not look good. Hello. 4 catches, 130, and 2 touchdowns. James Conner, 21 carries for $122 on the ground. Sometimes you look at the stinky fish, Anthony, and you just do it.
You said it, Craig. You said it, and I should have went with you. Next time, I will definitely go with you when it's a stinky fish. That dude, Marvin Harrison Jr., oh, my gosh. All of his stats in the first quarter. In the first quarter is insane.
Crazy. Steelers, 13. Broncos, 6. Not a lot to talk about from this game. The Broncos stink. The Steelers survived. I guess we watch and see who they play at quarterback next week.
Yeah, I think you go with Justin Fields, though.
I mean, I get he's led you to a 2-0 start, but like it wasn't exactly beautiful.
I'm not saying he. So a couple of his plays actually were negated due to penalties. I think his numbers and his play was better than the box score actually indicates.
Fair enough. I didn't get a chance to watch this one, so I will defer to you on that. Chiefs 26, Bengals 25. Why? Because Mahomes is inevitable. They figured it out late. They set up a game-winning field goal. Burrow 258, 2 touchdowns. I think the good news for the Bengals, despite being 0-2, is they looked much more like the Bengals. Week of practice, now a couple of weeks with Jamar Chase back. Obviously, they now have an extra week or an extra day here this week as they prepare to host the Commanders on Monday Night Football. But the Chiefs 2-0, and I think this is probably a good game for them too. They probably came out of that opener like, yeah, we just beat the team that was supposed to be the bullies on the block. Like, we're awesome, we're the champs, and this is like a reminder, like, no, you really got to play every week. And the Chiefs go out and find a way because that's what the Chiefs do.
Did you see the last play, the pass interference?
I did. It was very clearly pass interference.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, anybody who's complaining about that is a loser. Like, just straight up, you're a loser. I don't use that term often, but, like, if you don't think that's pass interference, you think, the ref should swallow the whistle there. No, they shouldn't. They should call the pass interference because it's pass interference.
He got there a little early.
You think? Texans, Bears, 19-13, the final. Texans, not exactly a stellar performance, but they do enough. Meanwhile, a lot more questions about, hey, what's going on with this Bears offense? Caleb Williams, 2 picks, no touchdowns. I mean, he still hasn't broken 200 yards passing in the 2 games. 93 in the first one, 174 in this one. Too much hero ball, not enough. Like, hey, let's be solid. And I think if you want to see why I'm a lot higher than a lot of other people on Cliff Kingsbury and what he's doing with Jaden Daniels so far, go watch what the Bears are asking Caleb Williams to do and how he's responding.
Yeah, and you want to know a crazy stat, Craig? So 14 of the 32 quarterbacks in this week threw for under 200 yards this week.
Defenses are playing well to start the year.
I think a lot of people are also leaning on the run, though, too.
The run game is making a return.
Just saying.
But this is what happens, right? It's cyclical because the pass game was so big for so long.
Uh-huh.
People are playing with lighter personnel. They're playing more, back, deeper coverages and cover 2 shells, or 2-man shells. So there's less bodies in the box. And so offenses are like, cool, you're going to give us 6 yards running the ball? Let's do it.
Every time.
And so until the league starts to figure out how to defend both, or they're just going to say like, hey, we'd rather have you beat us this way because you have to sustain drives and rather than give up an explosive play touchdown. This is the way it's going to be. And that's our look around the NFL. When we get back to Commanders and Giants, and we will take a look at our pick six. 6 players we identified Friday to watch in the game on Sunday, Commanders and Giants. How'd they do? We'll tell you next. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. Our final hour here, also live on the free Odyssey app. Well, the whole show's on the free Odyssey app. We're on YouTube as well at the Team 980. We had a brief hiatus on YouTube earlier in the show, unplanned, but that sometimes is the way the cookie crumbles, if you will, or your internet goes out. But we're happy to be back up. And, of course, if you missed any part of the show, say you normally watch us on YouTube, well, good news. We got a podcast. Also, the whole show's available on demand before Anthony even puts it up in the podcast feed, because we got the rewind feature on the Odyssey app. Basically, as really, we've had a good day on this front, Anthony. Wayne called the show earlier in the 4 o'clock hour. He got the show. He said that, hey, I love to listen to your show, and if I can't, then when I get home, I fire up the iPad, and I listen that way on the podcast. Wayne gets the show. What's anyone else's excuse? Or is Wayne just a super genius?
I don't think they have an excuse.
All due respect, Wayne, who's probably listening to this part of the show on the podcast. You are a super genius, Wayne, but I think there are more super geniuses amongst us. Anyway, apropos of none of that, it's time for our Pick Six.
The 6 biggest Commander storylines.
It is caught!
Delivered at 6 o'clock sharp. It's the Pick 6 at 6.
We set out to find a leader, someone who could take this franchise to the next level, build an elite team that consistently competes for championships.
All right, let's boogie. Pick 6 on a Monday means we take a look back at the 6 players we selected on Friday and see how they did. The 6 players we selected on Friday were the 6 that we thought were most interesting to watch during Commanders and Giants. And we start with Anthony.
Number 1.
Which I had number 1 this week, and number 1 was big number 97 for New York. Now, Dexter Lawrence was not he was not great in this game. He was not bad in this game. He was just kind of a solid defensive tackle in this game. And boy, let me tell you what, if you had told me Friday that the Commanders were going to turn Dexter Lawrence into just a merely solid defensive tackle who would make a couple of plays and maybe require a little bit of extra attention, I would have signed up for that on the spot. And that is exactly what they did. Tyler Biotish was excellent in this game. Nick Allegretti, Sam Cosmi helping out. They did a really great job. They were attentive to him. There's a couple plays that he ruined, like 2 or 3 big plays that he makes, but like nothing disastrous. No sacks in the game. He was good. But like, he's Dexter Lawrence. If you can hold him to good and not great, you've won the Dexter Lawrence battle. PFF, for whatever it's worth, graded him out as their 3rd best defensive player. He graded out in the green at a 75.3. Fine. Don't care. Good. You know what I do care about? He had 0 sacks, 0 hits. He had 4 hurries, only 3 tackles. I'll take that any day of the week.
Nah, yeah, I'll definitely take that as well. And I was telling you earlier, I was so surprised. Like, Tyler Biotish sometimes one-on-one with Dexter Lawrence. Like, usually, he demands a double team at least, or he's going to blow up a play. But for the most part, we did our best, holding our water and, limited him to not having, one of those monstrous days that he could have and have had against the Commanders.
I said, like, just don't let him wreck your day.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They ran right at him. They got some, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Like, he had some tackles. He had some plays that he gummed up. He also had some plays that he gummed up that Brian Robinson found another exit. Yeah. So, that works out too. Just a really good job, I think, by the Commanders front, all in all, on Sunday. All right, number 2, Anthony.
Number 2.
Number 2 was my guy, Daron Payne. And I'm not going to say he necessarily had a bad day, because part of the reason I wanted to pick him this week is because week 1, they made the plays, or the plays were there to be made. We just didn't capitalize on them. And I thought this was going to be a great week for, him to rebound and right those wrongs. He showed up here and there, but I don't think it was consistent enough, to be honest, if I'm being honest.
He graded out per PFF at a 72.4, and whatever it's worth, that was their 2nd best. They had Wagner at an 89, and Bobby was pretty good. Occasionally, like not as effective as you want as a blitzer. A couple of things in coverage here and there, but like by and large, I think Bobby Wagner played a really good football game. St. Juice they had as a 69. And then Allen was their allegedly their fourth best player at a 62.9. And I say that because, I mean, I guess as a run defender, he graded out as a 49.1. So it's not like they graded him out well in that department. I just think that, like, for what he was asked to do, you can't tell me that John Allen had a 62.9 and was better than the guy like Quan Martin or Percy Butler in this game.
Yeah.
So whatever that is. But for Payne, like, eventually you got to get production. Like, yeah, he ate some blocks. Yeah, he got some penetration on Cleveland Ferrell's sack. Like, he's the main instigator there, pushing the pocket, one of his two hurries that PFF credited him with. But at the end of the day, like, you're paying these dudes major money to produce. Like, you need stat sheet stats from them. You need tackles. You need sacks. You need passes deflected. You need Daron Payne to be the Daron Payne. Not that he necessarily was in that Denver game last year for that one series that he wrecked the entire series, because that's unsustainable for a game. But can we get some flashes of that dude a couple times a game? I think that those two guys in the middle just like need to. Maybe it's what they're being asked to do in this defense, which is why I'm not willing to fully say, hey, bad job, Allen, bad job, Payne. And I also want to understand why it is that they haven't been as effective. But ultimately, the thing that I am comfortable saying at this point is this defense needs to get to a point where they are producing more. And that is just simply not happening right now.
Number 3.
Number 3, I admittedly picked on a false premise. On Friday, it looked like Micah McFadden might not play in the game on Sunday. Not only did Micah McFadden, the Giants linebacker, play, but he played well. He was their leading tackler. He had 12 tackles on the day. But I had picked Ben Sinnott because I thought they would go some heavier personnel and they would use Sinnott and Bates and Ertz together. And turns out, like, they didn't, because McFadden was out there and getting the backup linebacker on the field wasn't something they were going to do. Zach Ertz had a big day. That was great at the tight end position. Bates has a couple of nice blocks. And Sinnott, honestly, has a couple of nice blocks. And there's also a couple plays where he's out there where you're like, that dude plays hard. Like, he just plays really hard. He knows he's only going to be out there for 1 or 2 snaps at a time. And he goes and he'll sprint, from the opposite hash the numbers to try to make a block on a play or to be there just in case there's a block to be made. So, like, there's a lot to like from Ben Sinnott as a young player. They used him as a fullback some. And there's even a play, it's somewhere in my notes, where, like, they do show some of the flexibility. I don't even remember what the result of the play was. I just remember noting, like, hey, the tight ends right now are Sinnott, Bates, and then B-Rob is in, and they wound up in a spread formation 5 wide and empty. And so, like, you see some of the stuff that you can do with him that is cool, from the fullback stuff to the, hey, he's a tight end, but he can line up as a receiver or a running back, and you just kind of play with some of the defense's rules. But ultimately, I picked Ben Sinnott for a reason that wound up not being true. So, whoops.
I mean, I still don't think it was the worst, pick. He didn't have that much impact, but to his credit, what you just outlined or, highlighted, the fact that, he is a willing blocker. And, I think a lot of the tight ends in the NFL that we're seeing now are, being willing blockers, dudes that are going to, do the dirty work, and also, be able to, go out and catch patches. So,
yeah, I mean, he played 13 snaps. He was in there for 3 passes. He ran 3 routes, 1 pass block snap, and then 9 run block snaps. So he's mostly being used as a run blocker. But, if you can put him out there and, like, oh, it's going to be a run, Sinnott's in, and then you get the nice play action shot, like, you're setting stuff for later in the year. I like the plan with Ben Sinnott. I guess what I would say. I like the plan with Ben Sinnott. We'll see what ultimately happens with it moving forward. All right, Anthony, number 4.
Number 4.
This one a little bit more on the nose in terms of game importance.
Yeah, this one was whoever was going to be filling in for Emmanuel Forbes. You had Noah Igbenogany, and then you also had Michael Davis. Michael Davis started out, and then he ended up getting benched just because he was just giving up too much to Malik Neighbors. And I'm not going to lie, Malik Neighbors is a tough axe to, guard. That's why he was drafted 6 overall, put up the numbers that he did at LSU, why him and, Jaden Daniels had the report that they had. But, still the missed tackles, the effort, I still think you need that, even if you are giving up the catch. And sometimes, he's getting beat. You got to still finish the plate and run to the ball. And then they put Noah in. And Noah, he did a little bit better, but I think I further sort of kind of understand why they left Forbes in week 1. Because you rather have if it's going to be similar production, you rather have the younger guy, I'm assuming, get the experience, get the reps, and be able to hopefully build off of it. But if you got a veteran like Michael Davis getting beat the same way, there's no point in having him.
Yeah, and from an athletic standpoint, like Davis can't keep up with a guy like Malik Neighbors. Emmanuel Forbes can't.
Yeah.
Whether he will or not is different, but like you start from a point that it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say for Igbenogany, like he did a much better job.
Yeah.
Obviously, still got the PI. Like he's grabbing. Like it's too much. There's some other plays that are not great, but like Noah's super physical, super duper physical. And so you start off with that baseline, and he's a good tackler. And so there's just a limit to the damage that's going to get done compared to if Davis is out there missing tackles and now, 60 yards down the field, or I guess never got 60, but like 40 yards down the field, Malik Neighbors is running out of bounds, what should have been a 7-yard gain. Yeah. And that can't happen. Forbes, I still think, is better than both of them in the long term, even if he's not great. But we'll see when Emmanuel gets back what that looks like. I give a ton of credit here to the coaching staff for figuring it out by the end of the game. They got to a point where they went in with the game plan. They're like, this is what we want to do, especially on third down. Mm-hmm. We would like to be in man coverage. And generally speaking, we'd like to be in single high. And especially because you're having trouble stopping the run. So you need the extra support in the box. You're trying to get them out of run looks because they're killing you in the run game. And so you're stuck if you're Joe Witt between a rock and a hard place. You got these two defensive tackles that are supposed to be studs that are getting washed up front, and you're giving up 7.7 yards a carry to Devin Singletary. So you got to kind of commit extra resources to the box. Then Daniel Jones is like sick. I got one-on-one outside with Malik Neighbors on whoever the hell this is. And they're killing you with Malik Neighbors. Dable's like, spam one. Throw it to him 18 times in the game. And eventually in the fourth quarter, they just went, like, we're not doing this anymore. And so what they did was they went to too high looks. So they automatically had safety help over there, and they were playing a little bit more zone. And what that does in cover 2 is it creates a player over the top to prevent the deep stuff and someone underneath. So it's not like, hey, I can win. It's like, hey, I have to try to find this very specific space. And it on some level negates like your ability to win one-on-one. Mm-hmm. It's like beating zone coverage is a different skill than beating man coverage. And it just is a different kind of athleticism. It's a different kind of everything and different kind of feel. And it requires a different kind of accuracy for the quarterback. I mean, I know that fourth down is one that Malik Neighbors probably catches 7 out of 10 times. But Noah Igbenogany is underneath that throw. He makes it a little bit harder. He should have made it even harder. He should have been farther outside. But ultimately, like, it's not an easy straight line throw. There's a little bit of pressure. Jones is rolling. It's not a clean vision as Noah's like trying to get in the passing lane. And that ball's a little harder to catch than it otherwise has to be. And Neighbors drops it. So the switch to the cover 2 looks in the fourth quarter is a huge like thumbs up. Good job, Joe. Good job, Dan. Good job, whoever else decided that was the play. But eventually you just have to go. Neighbors is killing us one-on-one. Let's stop leaving him one-on-one and see if they can figure out the X or the Jimmies and Joes later. Because right now we know we don't have those. We need the X's and O's, if you will. All right, our pick 6 rolling on here on the Hoffman Show, review style on a Monday. Last 2. First up,
number 5.
Number 5 is Quan Martin. Quan, he was okay in this game. I should say he's better than that. He was solid in this game. 62 on the old PFF grade. 52 as a run defender, 52 tackler, 55 as a pass rusher, 65 in coverage. Like, Quan continues to be a presence over the top. There's a couple of those deep balls where if they're better throws, they might be completions, but they're going to have to be completions through a massive Quan Martin hit on Malik Neighbors, 40 yards down the field. He has a couple other plays where he's in there and doing a good job just shutting stuff down so it doesn't even become a throw. There's one really bad missed tackle that I can remember. It's one of those plays where Chin misses first, but like Chin's being asked to cover an 8-yard wide gap in that spot. Like I don't put that on Chin. I put that on the tackles and the linebackers who left that size hole. But like Chin slows Singletary down, and then Quan comes in and misses again, and that becomes a big run. So there's a couple of missed tackles from Quan, but ultimately, like, he's developing into a good safety. And I think the biggest thing is the reason that he was on that list is over the last 2 years, there's been a number of miscommunications where he's been one of the guys, and that didn't happen in this game. The big plays they gave up were more, they got beat, not we beat ourselves. The one exception is the Sainer-Still touchdown that they give up where he just plays with terrible leverage. That's one where you kind of look at it and you're like, dude, you got to play that a lot better. That's a beat yourself. And then I guess there was the one, but Quan wasn't involved. Was it the first touchdown, Anthony? The bunch? No, I think it was the second one. Either way, the first passing touchdown is the one they give up.
Out route?
Yeah, the one where Neighbors scores over the middle, where they don't pass stuff off correctly, but Quan was not involved in that one. So on that front, thumbs up Quan Martin. Obviously, you got to figure out the bunches and the stacks. They're hard, but you got to be clear in your rules. Sainer-Still and Chin are the two that are kind of involved in that. BSJ was on the outside, but I don't think he's involved in the miscommunication. But Quan Martin, better, still room to grow, young player, fine with it. And then last but not least, Anthony, good job for you on number 6.
Number 6.
This might be your best pick you've made in 2 years.
Austin Seibert, baby. I'm not going to go as far as say we have found our kicker, but I will say the fact that, he was consistent, he was able to, knock in the chip shots, I think that goes a long way just because we've had so much inconsistency at the kicker position. And that's really all we want to see necessarily. Like, we don't want to have to go into the offseason with, I guess that's the least of our concerns, I guess, not having a kicker, but we also see how valuable having one is, because if we didn't have one, then we would have been looking like the Giants and, lost out on some opportunities.
Yeah. You want to see how bad it is to really not have a kicker?
Yeah.
Look at that other side. Look, Austin Seibert in his career has never missed under 40 yards. Mm-hmm. He just doesn't have a strong leg. And so if that's a part of who you are and you understand that, like, okay, we're a team that's going to go for it from the 30-yard line and out, like 30 to back to punt range, you can plan for that. You have those situations in your head. Hey, we need to be on top of our stuff on kickoff return because we don't have a kicker who can kick it through the end zone. There are downsides to having a kicker without a strong leg. There's also a lot of upsides to being really confident that you can score in the red zone and get points, and you don't have to go crazy because it's not a wild goose chase or any kind of wild card of what's going to happen if your kicker lines up for a 36-yarder.
Yep.
And this team has been in both spots.
Man.
And so, again, I think it's fair to say, despite his 7 for 7, it's too early to be like, they found their kicker. Mm-hmm. Because he's one bad week away from being a lot of other kickers that have been here. But he seems very reliable in terms of his career. He's never missed under 40. As long as you ask him to do the things that you need him to do, or that he's capable of doing, and then we'll see about the distance, obviously, as the year goes, because there will be situations where it's like, hey, 52-yarders, the right. It's 4th and 9 because Jaden took a sack on a 3rd and 2, or whatever the reason is, the incompletion. Someone dropped the ball on 3rd and 9, and now it's 4th and 9 at the 40-yard line, and you're like, or the 38-yard line, and you're like, crap. This should be a kick. It's too far to go for it. Mm-hmm. So are we going to punt, or are we just going to take the long field goal? And we'll see what he can do. But in the sure thing situations, it feels like he should be reliable. It's the 50-50 calls that perhaps it affects the strategy. And then obviously kickoff return with the new rules. Are you on top of your stuff as a kick coverage unit? Which you saw the first kickoff of the game, they return it. Ballore gets a penalty, as he did on the return. Hey, let's sign this special teams ace. 2 penalties in the first 2 kickoffs. But Ballore commits the penalty, and all of a sudden the Giants are starting from near the 50-yard line.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden that touchback sounds real good. So it's something to watch. But Austin Seibert, nice job. Nice job. 7 for 7. If you do nothing else while you're here, you got the franchise record, and one that hopefully is not broken for a long time, because dear God, please let us not see 7 field goal attempts anytime soon. Score touchdowns. I heard it's cool. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. And when we get back, your calls, 301-230-0980, 301-230-0980. It's Tell the Truth Monday. What you got on the game? 301-230-0980. Tell the Truth Monday wraps us up here on the Team 980. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube as well at the Team 980. So we did earlier in the show, we did our Tell the Truth Monday segment, which we do at 4:30 and 6:30 on Monday. But because our internet was down, we did not get to debut the official segment open, if you will. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is officially time to officially welcome Tell the Truth Monday.
It's Tell the Truth Monday on the Hoffman Show.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth!
Call us now at 301-230-0980 to tell the truth about the Commanders.
You can't handle the truth!
Or hit the comment section at the Team 980 on YouTube.
Simple as that. So here's how it works. 301-230-0980 is the phone number. You give us a call. I'm going to answer the phone. I'm going to say, hey, tell the truth about what you saw for Commanders and Giants, and you'll hit us with the truth that you thought of in the game. 301-230-0980. Let's go to Terrell in Baltimore. Terrell, tell the truth about what you saw yesterday at Northwest Stadium.
Yo, thank you for picking me right after the official, man. That I feel like privileged or something, man. That's what's up.
Blessing. Hey, you've earned it with good calls the last couple of weeks, so fire away. What you got for us?
I will take it. To tell the truth, man, that game was a hard watch, man. Just from a fan perspective, I was like, what is going on? But the main reason I called is because I want to give the DMV media, I'm taking a deep breath, but I want to give y'all a shout out because you all have gotten it right this off season. I can't say that the media has been like just overblown and just crazy concepts and filling us with fluff. No, that O-line is scary. And that secondary is trash. And the kicking situation, we knew that was a debacle. And what we are seeing is that. And that's scary because, honestly, if the Giants had a kicker, we may not be having a victory Monday or whatever have you. And if Daniel Jones was somewhat of a decent quarterback, we may not be having this conversation. But the DMV media has not given us fluff this offseason, at least from me listening. And so what I'm seeing is we were the last part I'll leave this with Eckler and Ertz are true, man. They are ballers. They are like release valves for Jaden. And I'm excited to see what they will do as far as like experience and coming from other organizations that have that IQ that make a team take the next step. And I think I saw Jaden Daniels take a next step in the second half with his quarterback play, staying in the pocket, stepping into the pocket, and giving his wide receivers, who aren't really that great either, mind you, time to develop downfield. So I'll leave it at that. But, man, that was a hard watch yesterday, but I will take the win.
Terrell, I agree with you on a lot of that stuff, especially how great we in the media are. That's just, I mean, obviously. No, I'm just messing. Great call, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I think, one, Eckler and Ertz, like, they still got it. Maybe not like they did in their primes, but, like, those two dudes are really, really important, not only to any success they might have this year, but to Jaden's development. You need those safety valves. I mean, look at what happens when you don't have that. Look at what happened with Bryce Young. And not that Jaden and Bryce are the same players, and if you simply switch the spots that they'd have the same results, but like Bryce had none of that. He had no safety flotation device, and he sunk like a lead balloon. And Jaden has that stuff built in, and he has an offensive coordinator who's giving him life rafts all over the place. And eventually he's going to have to learn how to operate this big, gigantic boat. But for right now, like, just get from point A to point B. We can do a little bit of learning as we go here, and just do it in a way that's relatively safe. And they're doing that despite lack of talent. The offensive line, I do think, is, I will say this. I think a lot of the media, certainly, I know I said this. I know Logan said this. I know Kime said this. And I think some others did as well, of like the offensive line was not as bad as a lot of fans wanted it to, thought that it was based off last season. That a lot of it had to do with the quarterback and the play caller last year. And that this offensive line would be a lot better simply because you'd have better scheme, better play calling, and a better quarterback. And I think you've seen that. You've seen that it's not super talented. You've seen that it has its holes, but you have also seen that if you deploy it properly, it will not kill you. And I think to Terrell's point, like, yes, if the Giants have a kicker yesterday, this game could also go in the L column for Washington. But they had 7 scoring drives. And I think if you want to play the what-if game, you could also say, what if the very easily fixable parts of the Commanders' O-line problems yesterday, false starts in the red zone, didn't happen, and they punch a couple of those in. Maybe they put up 35 on the Giants, and maybe we're not having any kind of discussion about how close things were, or Austin Seibert certainly having a record-setting day. 301-230-0980. Tell the Truth Monday. Let's go to Mo. Mo, thanks for calling. You're on the Hoffman Show.
Mo Wilson, heavyweight boxer. I'll tell you right now, man, you called it like it is. You definitely said where our improvements need to be at the defensive back, the cornerback, and linebacker. But I want to give it to you like this here. The linebackers got to be able to talk to the defensive end, to drop back a little bit on their own because, I mean, this guy, the head coach, he's a good defensive guy. I don't know why the head coach won't have them stunting like you said. You said all the magic words today. They must run some stunts. And the cornerbacks and the safeties, they got to be able to stunt with a linebacker. Sometimes they come in, like Darryl Green type of concept. We got to keep it real right here. Mo Wilson, heavyweight boxer, go Commanders. I think they're going to be a good team with matching the score-wise. But I think it's just like he said, like you said, if they don't be able to stop some of them, I mean, they got to be, them cornerbacks got to be bold. They got to be going on. I mean, hey, hit the guy if you have to, but don't let them get the ball and get behind you. They going on in. You got to hit him up front. Sometimes take a 5-yard or 10-yard penalty, but guess what? Man, it may save the game. Mo Wilson, heavyweight boxer.
Oh, okay, Mo Wilson, heavyweight boxer. Anthony's just going to go answer phone calls and ignore me. Okay, Tell the Truth Monday on the Hoffman Show. Let's go to Chris. Chris, thanks for calling. You're on the Hoffman Show. What you got? What truth you got after watching that game?
I think I'm happy. You know why? Because we knew we had holes, and it's evident, but at least it's fixable with the draft. But this is going to be a long process, and I'm here for the ride. I do think that maybe we could do something different with Terry. I don't know if you spoke on that. I just got in the car from work. Maybe Terry could do some of those drag routes that Neighbors was running on us yesterday. But other than that, I'm thankful because we have holes. We got a draft. We got people in place to make the right decisions, hopefully. I did want to ask, out of all the people that was drafted by this regime, what do you think about their draft picks so far?
It's a good question, Chris. I'll let you do the old hang up and listen bit. I think the rookies have been a little underwhelming outside of Jaden so far, but also he's the only one that's a first-round pick, and that's kind of how it goes. And I think that we have to remember, and Chris, you seem like you have a great perspective here of like, hey, yeah, there's only so many things you can do in a draft, and like this is a long process, and corner is a position that they're clearly going to have to address moving forward. And they didn't really have great opportunities to this year. They did take a corner, by the way, in the second round, and Mike Sanders still, who's going to have a learning curve, because if you think playing corner in this league is hard on the outside, with what some of the teams are doing with their nickels right now, and some of the asks that teams are like offenses are demanding, I mean, the touchdown he gets beat on, he plays that really poorly. But two things can be true. He played it poorly, and damn, that is a hard thing. Like, he is the split there. Like, Neighbors is wide. Then you got the slot receiver that he's covering is in a ton of space. There's not, I don't think, a tight end on that side. And if he is, he's tight to the line of scrimmage. So, like, you have a massive, massive amount of grass that you are responsible for. And that is why playing with proper leverage and understanding where your help is and using the sideline to your advantage, like whatever is applicable in said situation, is really important. And it takes time to learn some of that stuff. Coleman's obviously coming off the injury. I think he's had some bad moments, but also some good ones. Newton, I thought, didn't really do a whole lot yesterday, but he also wasn't bad when he was out there. I tried to keep an eye on him when he was in the game. When I went back and watched the film, Sinnott hasn't been asked to do a whole lot, and that's the thing, is like the later you go, the harder it is to play well immediately because you're not as good. That's just the nature of the draft, right? The one that I think is most, I don't want to say he's been disappointing, but like the situation has been disappointing is McCaffrey, because I think McCaffrey's actually played far better than the production, which he barely has any. But there, you talk about, like, can you get Terry more on some of those drag routes that Neighbors killed you on? And the answer is yes. Theoretically, you could. I don't know how many of those are built into the offense as currently constructed, or whether that's something where they'd have to switch and say, like, hey, Terry, you're going to play the Z on this one instead of the X, and that way we can get you on this certain route concept. Because those drag routes and some of those things are in the offense. And Luke had a couple of them yesterday where there's one where he's screaming open. And I'm just like, Jaden, he ran straight across your face, bro. What are you looking at? And that happens. Like, I've been breaking down tape for 10 years at this point. And that happens. There's every quarterback that I've ever watched, not only the Washington ones, but there are times where, like, you'd be studying Tampa Bay or New England because Brady's coming to town, and you're like, I wonder what Tom was looking at there. Like, sometimes it happens. It happens less with the great ones and more with the bad ones. And Jaden misses a couple as a rookie, and so be it. But I think Luke has been a guy that he's missed a couple of times where and he's blocked pretty well. Like, he fights his face off. There's sometimes he's running clearing routes, and he does a good job of playing with urgency and, like, getting to the spots he needs to open things up for others. So, Luke McCaffrey's played okay. Eventually, he needs to get involved more, and I think the production will come. But that's kind of, to me, the rookie report, and it circles around to the question about Terry, which is, yes, I do think you can get Terry on some of that stuff, and I would very much like to. They got some horizontal stuff for him yesterday, had a double slant situation where they hit him on the backside of one. But also a lot of that comes in the drop back game where I don't think Jaden's footwork is quite as polished yet. And I think as they continue to get the footwork and the timing of the drop and how that marries up with the concept down for Daniels, you'll see Terry start to come alive a little bit more on some of those bigger plays. It's Tell the Truth Monday on the Hoffman Show. Let's tell you what. Quick break, come back. We don't do this often. We'll take a couple calls in the final segment of the show here on the Team 980. All right, you can settle down now. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Yes, you play the left hand up song after kicking 7 field goals and winning a football game.
Hey, we won. A win is a win.
That is correct. A win is a win. It's Tell the Truth Monday here on the Team 980. We're going to squeeze in a couple more calls here at the end. Let's go to Phil in Baltimore. Phil, what you got? What's the truth after the Commanders beat the Giants on Sunday?
Appreciate you having me on this Victory Monday. Happy to have Victory Monday for a while. One truth that I have is definitely that I definitely think that our secondary is going to get better throughout the season, either being trade pickup or just in depth, and just picking up any type of free agent during the draft, and then pretty much just trusting Adam Peters.
All right, Phil, thanks for the call. I do think that they're very limited in who they can actually pick up because it's September. We're halfway. Oh, my God. We're halfway to October. But there's guys out there that they'll probably sign and try out, and maybe they find a diamond in the rough or they coach a guy up. I mean, maybe Chigozie Anuzium comes up off the practice squad, and he's a little bit more ready now than he was a couple of weeks ago, and maybe they give him a shot as an undrafted free agent. But I also think, they're just going to have to rethink the coverage structures that they play. They're just simply going to have to go, we're going to make, and this is going to suck against the Bengals, but they're going to have to make quarterbacks beat them, not wide receivers beat them. Do not make it easy for quarterbacks to just sit on these deep comeback routes and say, hey, we're not going to get beat deep, but we'll give you a 15-yard chunk. Once teams figure out you can do that, that's not good. I'd much rather have a quarterback try to figure out where the hole is in cover 2 with maybe some guys flying around in different versions of that. Some cover 2, some cover 6, some quarters. But too deep, what they call middle field middle field open structures, right? So you have the middle of the field more open because you have 2 safeties that are protecting the deep out. And if a quarterback can seam a ball in between those safeties over a middle linebacker, okay, beat me with that kind of throw. Beat me by picking apart what's cover 2 versus cover 6 versus cover 4 versus whatever, versus sprinkle in some man, a zone blitz situation, some simulated pressures where a guy drops out and find the hole in the zone. And if you can do that quickly and pick us apart and consistently be great and not make a mistake and not turn the football over and your receivers can't fumble, fine. 15-yard chunks just with the simplest college offense of, hey, go deep, and if they sit way on top of the route, stop at 15 yards and I'll hit you with a deep comeback. That can't be as simple as it is to beat these teams or this team. Or hey, we're just going to run through some traffic and these guys are going to football follies, three stooges run into each other. That can't happen. And so I think simplifying some of the coverage structures and opening yourself up. The thing is, if you're going to play those 2 deep structures, it's one less guy in the box. And so that is the conundrum right now is you can either stop the pass or stop the run. And right now they can't really they haven't succeeded in either. All right, last but not least, let's go to Mill. Mill, thanks for calling. You are on the Hoffman Show. I've been told you have a list of truths on this Monday.
Okay, yeah, actually I do. So the first one is, someone tell Kayvon Thibodeau that, how does that L taste?
He really did talk a lot last week, didn't he?
He surely did. He surely did. I just wanted to mention that. But my second thought is JD continues to shine. I definitely like that one last throw that he did to Noah Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out to Austin Seabird for literally kicking those field goals. Because in games not saying games like this, but games where it matters, you want to have a kicker, and I'm glad we have a solid kicker. And my third one is I actually like St. Juice yesterday. He actually did a good job covering. I mean, I understand he had a couple of missed tackles sometimes, but that punch out and him just trying to be the best man he can be, I understand. This is the 3rd year, 4th year?
Yeah, it's 3rd year.
So, yeah. So, and like I said, overall, I mean, C+, for overall. But I definitely like where we're going. Hopefully, we get better as far as the defense and tackling. And the guys up front, do a better job of stopping the run, like you said, Hoffman. But left hand up, we are the Commanders. First win, and we're not 0-2. So
Hey, well, that is
thanks for
definitely
taking my call, man.
absolutely. That is definitely a victory on this Monday. Miller, appreciate the call. I do think a shout out to BSJ is a great place to end this because that punch out is emblematic of what this team wants to be about. Obviously, it's got to be way more consistent. Doing it once is not enough. So do not take me complimenting a guy on one play into, oh, Hoffman said everything's going to be okay, because it's going to be a long season in a lot of respects. But on that play, Malik Neighbors does a pretty good job of blocking Benjamin St. Juste. And unfortunately, that play is also like a 15-yard run. Like, that's an explosive run. But BSJ fights his way off of that block and then chases down the play and punches the ball out. That is who this team wants to be, is a team that even on a bad play can save it with a good one. Even on a play where it's like, oh, we got a lot of lessons to learn, to use Dan Quinn's terminology. There's some stuff we can do here to correct it. We can overcome that adversity. And I think that play happening more often and creating a lot more turnovers, like, you don't have to be perfect defensively if you can create a turnover. You can give up some plays and then make one of your own and undo it. So that's got to happen more often, but it's definitely a good sign that one finally happened. All right, that's our show for today. We will see you back tomorrow for a Vibe Check Tuesday on The Hoffman Show.